All right, so why don't we load the mockup back up in preview? So ask Claude to load the mockup back up in preview mode.
I'm still I'm still saying please and thank you when I was doing my other thing. Okay.
Yes, because somewhere in the cloud, it's all your conversations are being stored, and the day that they take over, the
That's
they being
exactly
the
right.
machines.
And I for one welcome our AI overlords. I would like to know.
They're like that Damon. He was always so polite to us. spare,
Exactly.
spare him.
I sensed that Claude was getting impatient with me when I was using it for my other project at some point.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Yep. So we got the designs.
Yep. Now, were there any things that you changed or wanted to change
I
in?
changed like color and a couple of icons, but for the sake of what we're doing, I think it's pretty basic and decent for what we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready to actually roll up an actual app?
Let's do it.
All right. Now, before we do that, one thing that I really am very, and I'm a little soapboxy here, so bear with me. One of the challenges before with mobile development, besides the coding piece, is that you have two major players, right? You have, iOS, Apple ecosystem, and you have Android, and they both have different ways of, programming, for those platforms, right? So on the iOS Apple side, you have, well, back in the day, people use Objective C, and Objective C still works, but now they have the Swift framework. So the coding language is called Swift, and then they have Swift UI as well. And that's more the modern way to build Apple iOS apps.
Okay.
And even for desktop as well. But that's the if you're in the Apple ecosystem, that's how you build things. And then on the Android side, you have Java as a language, but more and more, these days, they created a language called Kotlin,
Mhm.
which, that is, very similar to kind of the evolution on the Apple side. So, Java still works as a language, even though it's not really a Java phone, but that's a whole nother conversation. But that's the language that they use to build. But
Okay.
now they're pushing more towards Kotlin. So right, you have all these four different languages in total for two platforms, and ideally, if you want to build for either one, you really should build using the native what we would call the native language or the preferred languages.
Okay.
But right, one doesn't work on the other. People are creating projects where they're trying to make it where Kotlin you can make iPhone apps and vice versa, Swift, etc. But those things are early and probably who knows if they'll ever really work.
Yeah.
But then you had these like in between kind of medium things where you had React Native. So people have probably heard of React when it comes to building web apps, but React Native is a port of like all the it's the underlying framework of React and kind of the ethos and the way you go about building in React, but for mobile apps primarily. React Native can be used for other things, but again, that would be getting off on a tangent. But React Native is like, hey, if you know how to build things in React, then it's an easy jump to use React Native and use kind of like it's its own components and things, but it's a very easy jump from that, if you understand that, and using TypeScript to build apps that then can be like ported to both, right? So it's write once, works in both platforms. But
Okay.
the problem, and maybe it's not so much a problem. It depends on the type of app that you're building, because there is this middle interpretive layer that gets packaged with your React Native apps, so that it can function, on both platforms. And so, whenever in engineering, whenever you have layers, you introduce some latency. So a React Native app may be fast enough on, if you have like the latest and greatest of either phone, but you're going to notice the difference in speed if you have the equivalent of one that was written in Swift. Since we're talking about we'll talk about Apple right now because I'm an Apple user, and so I'm going to skew more towards iPhone. But the thing is, yeah, if you compare a React Native app to one that's written in Swift, apples to apples, you'll notice that the one that's written in Swift it's just going to be smoother. It's going to be faster, more responsive as far as performance than the React Native. So React Native is not a bad choice. But all this big long-winded setup is that what using something like Claude Code does, since as person we're not really in the code anyway. We're just vibe coding, which I don't like the term, but it's stuck. I prefer agentic engineering or agentic coding.
Yeah.
What it allows you to do is design and figure out the feature set of the app and say write it in Swift, write it in Android. So now
Oh,
you have the perfect, perfectly optimized and performing, versions of the app on either side. You see, the reason why people started trying to figure out these like in between things and write once, ever because you had a team of developers, right? And so you didn't want to have to like double up because there's a cost there, right?
yeah,
So if
sure.
you had two engineers who were, developed for, or were developing your mobile app, they would either have to know both languages and know them well, right? Which
Yeah.
means that costs more money, right? The better the player, right? The more you got to pay them. Or you have to double up and you have to hire two people who are really good at iOS, two people who are really good at, Android. And so either way, you're paying, right? But now, this is another hurdle that's been kind of removed because you can just ask Claude or Codex or whatever it is that you're using. In this case, we're Claude fans here, and say, hey, all right, after we finish writing it in iOS, take this and rewrite it in either Kotlin or Java so that it works perfectly on Android.
That's a pro tip right there. I would have never known that.
Yes. Yep. And so when it comes to choosing, I would say yes. So if Claude ever asks you how to write it, which we're going to probably get to that point when we get
Yeah.
into like the architecture, yeah, the preference should be to, hey, write it, in whatever the native language is for whatever platform that you're targeting, and I would say, stay away from React Native, not because it's bad, but because you don't have to create something that's less performant or has some hurdles when you're doing it this way, because you can just have it build for, in the native platform for both.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully that didn't bore folks that long-winded conversation,
I,
but
I mean, I mean, that was a long thing, but I was thinking about while I was telling you before this that I built something for my son for his little lawnmower business, and
yeah.
it's like that stuff I didn't think of, and then
Hmm.
it automatically made it like a web app, which is fine. But having a
Oh,
little bit of that knowledge is important information.
yep. Yep. So it probably went and does well. It made it. Did it make it a PWA? So a web app that, like, I think PWA is programmable web app. But basically, it's a web app that kind of functions like a native app in that it installs onto your phone and it has an icon and all that good stuff. But
No,
it is web.
it's actually much simpler than that. It's just a web page. You just put in a web address and it takes you to
Ah,
the
got
thing.
you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
See, you're much more sophisticated. Than I am. That's why these that's why these tutorials are important.
Yep. Yep. So
All
yeah,
right.
now I have to go back because I was on the spot trying. Peter, I think is it progressive web app? I forget because that's the thing in our field. We start making these acronyms and then that becomes the term, and we forget even like what the underlying
Yeah.
meaning is. know what it is, right? You're like XML. Yeah, I know what XML is. Oh, extensible markup language. Like right? It's like you don't remember that stuff. You just know XML, PWA, all that good stuff. So yeah,
So having said that, what's the next step here?
yeah. So yeah, I would say since you're fine with the design, right?
Uh-huh.
I would say okay, um, let's go ahead and take this design and build a real app. And I'm curious to see because of the conversation that we had. So I'm actually, um, you know, um, uh, saying the prompt in this way because I'm curious on if it's going to give you options as to how to build it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question because when I did mine, it didn't really give me an op. I mean, and what might have happened is I said I don't want people to have to log in, and so maybe it shows what it did because that was the easiest thing. Oh, by the way,
Hmm.
for people not in the business, the Sprint Zero, see what's available, then we'll get Sprint Zero going. It's
Yep.
just a fancy way of saying like an iteration of time where you build something. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I like that it does that though.
Yeah.
Oh, and because Derek,
Uh-huh.
we talked about the product life cycle and everything. When
Yep.
I built my thing, it incorporated all of that into my discussion.
Nice. So it did
Yeah.
it without you prompting it?
Yeah.
And that's what's starting to be really great about how Anthropic is approaching Claude Code because of it's the memory feature, right? And so yes, it has remembered kind of like your preference or your approach.
Yep.
So it just kind of this is how Damon approaches things, and so yeah,
Yeah, it
just
was nice.
automatically trigger that.
Yep.
See, it looks like it's probably going to go ahead and build a web-based app, which is fine. We'll let it do its thing. So now I think yeah, this does raise a good conversation piece. So while it's churning, we can have this conversation. So for me, because I already automatically I have Xcode and the platform that you would normally use to build an iOS app, and I also have the Android Studio as well. In it's hit me that you probably don't have these things on your machine as
I
just
do not have those
yep.
things.
And so the lowest common denominator for it would be, oh, let me just create a web app because that's at the end of the day, it's HTML, JavaScript, CSS. That's not, you don't need any special tools. You can literally open up, a text editor. And if you were that good and you had all that knowledge, you could just write, those things, freehand with no IDE or framework or help, right? So I think a step that we're going to have to take is actually for you to install Xcode. Um,
Now let me ask you this question as far
uh-huh.
as like the series. Is it worth building the web app for people to see how that is and then going back and doing the Xcode and
Yeah, actually that might. So yeah, we can continue on, and build this out, and then that would be another episode of kind of like improvement, like, hey, let's take this to the next level.
yeah, that would be cool
Yeah.
because um see now it's feeling all high on myself having built the web app and now it's like, oh, here's all this other stuff you could do.
Right. Yep. Because see now, now you can and yes, what happens with web apps is that um, the mobile phone platforms they are aware that people will build things using these web based platforms or web apps, and so they do expose certain things as well from the underlying platform, like the ability to integrate with the calendar and the native calendar on the phone, etc. But those things are always so much more smoother to integrate with when you're using the actual preferred programming language for the platform.
Yeah. No,
So
that makes sense.
yeah, so thinking about that, so yeah, your son's app, like I'm sure there's an element of integrating with the calendar and all that sort of things, and maybe even sending messages and all that sort of stuff, which will be a lot smoother, with a native integration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
But if it
think.
functions, it functions. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you have to weigh, is the technology good enough? And if it's good enough, then there isn't, right, because there is an overhead and right, like your son, like you probably made it just for his phone platform, or I don't know if you yeah, it's web app, so it'll work on any phone.
Right.
So that may be more important, because you're not doing anything heavy duty, with the app where you need to have two different code bases that are native. It just may be good enough, right? So
Yeah. Derek, you want to know something?
what's
My
that?
kid, he's 12. He still doesn't have a smartphone. He still
Oh
has
no.
the flip phone. I'm resisting it as long as possible.
Oh man. I don't know, sooner or later that peer pressure, man, when the friends come over and they're like got their fancy.
I know he seems okay so far.
Right.
We'll see how long he
Yeah.
holds out.
Probably for now, the novelty of the fact that he has a mobile phone, he's probably like, oh man, this is cool.
Exactly.
Yep. Until the friends come in and ruin all of that. His friends sometimes do at that age. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Oh,
So yeah, it's doing its thing. It's
all right. Now,
yep.
update, get more, commit, and update launch with the Expo dev server.
Yep. So it's definitely building a React Native app. So what Expo is so React Native, React and React Native started out from Facebook or Meta at this point, I guess is they like to be known, the company. So the technology kind of started there, and actually, if you want to go way back, it actually started with the Instagram team, maybe prior to being acquired by Meta, because that was that's a whole nother story there too. There, I mean, talk about a kick-ass engineering team, that Instagram team that they acquired.
Uh-huh.
Because I think when they reached a billion users, the whole company of Instagram by itself had 20 employees, something of that nature, in period. So including HR, including product managers, all of that, and the engineering team was maybe somewhere around eight, nine, 10 people,
Wow.
and they had built, yeah, very, very, very bright team.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it was like React was something that they were creating or playing around with, is their own little custom framework. And
Yeah.
so Meta kind of acquired that and then put resources into building that out. So that was a little tangent story there, so of kind of how React itself was created, and then React Native. So React Native is like the raw platform, but what Expo is Expo is another company, and I forget the guy's name, with another kick-ass engineer who started that company, but took React Native and it's like, all right, people are going to want to build real apps with all kinds of they're going to have authentication, they're going to have oh, I don't know, I'm because I'm kind of freestyling off the top of my head, like different things that give polish to an actual real production app. And so what Expo is React Native wrapped with a bunch of like production ready tools and additional frameworks and things to make it easier for the developer. You're going to want map integrations and things like that, and you want to integrate with the camera. So they expose even more hooks into the underlying platform using Expo. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So Expo is kind of synonymous with React Native, but you can do raw React Native, or most people would do Expo because it has all the bells and whistles that you need to really build a production ready app.
All
So
right.
yep. So it looks like that's what it's doing, is creating the Expo / React Native app.
Now, now for this, it says to run on your phone or simulator, and
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I don't know if this is helpful for people. Again,
Uh
I'm
huh.
not a technical person. Derek is, but when I
Right.
see boxes with a play or copy, I know it's
Yep.
basically telling me to do something, so I should pay attention to that part.
There is an app called Expo Go that's on the App Store. And when you install that, then you can use Expo Go to simulate the use of the app on your phone.
So get it on my. So I get it on my phone.
Yep. So
Okay, and
install
then
Expo Go.
okay, and then I'll. We'll cover this later when we have another session.
Okay.
I'm gonna let me. I'll get that on my phone, and then so we'll have to do like some screen sharing from the phone too.
Yep, that is true. Yep. So
Okay, let me set that all up. So then next time we'll start with that.
all right.
Find yourself in another part of